Hello, I read 4 books in the month of December. It ain't much, but it's honest work. Reminder, support your independent bookstores. The first book I finished was The Frozen River. This is a bit of a historical fiction where we follow a woman who is a midwife named Martha Ballard, and it's 1700s in Maine, and a body turns up in the frozen river, hence the title, and she declares it a murder, and yet a physician who comes into the town says, no, 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 it was not a murder. So Martha kind of takes it upon herself to go investigate, and she knows who some of the characters in play of who might be responsible are. She understands maybe the reasons as to why some of these people might be involved, and we find out some connecting stories about some other crimes that have happened. And at the center of it is Martha kind of trying to figure things out and catching a lot of heat and a lot of flack and blah blah blah. I really enjoyed it. I thought it would be much more of a longer slog than it really was. It was pretty fast paced, all things considered, and I really enjoyed it. It was my first foray into this author's work, and so I was impressed. Ordinary Grace by William Kent Krueger. This is my third William Kent Krueger book, and I've loved all of them, including this. This is narrated by a man looking back on events of his childhood, and so it's a bit of a coming of age story in which he tells the story of him and his brother and his sister growing up in this small town in Minnesota where their father is a preacher. And this particular summer, death comes to their doorstep in many forms. A boy in town disappears and turns up dead. Another itinerant, as they refer to him, winds up dead. Some other people closer to them wind up dead. And it's a very transformative summer for the characters in this book for many reasons. And William Kent Krueger has such a lovely voice and a lovely writing style of how he tells his stories. And I really, really enjoyed this. Plain Song by Kent Harif. I loved this book. I did not expect to love this book as much as I did. It seemed up my alley in a sense that it's a small town with characters who are separate, but eventually they kind of collide towards the end of the novel, and there's not a lot happening. And some people will find this book boring. 100%. I fully can acknowledge that. But I like those kinds of books. I don't mind boring. I like kind of dramatic sagas that play out amongst families or townspeople or what have you. I like that kind of story, and I really love this. And two of the characters in here were these old farm hands, these old brothers who know nothing other than themselves and their farming, and they were just lovely characters. They were two of the best characters that I've read in any book this year, and I really, really fell in love with them. And yeah, I did not expect, as I said, to enjoy this book as much as I did, but I did a lot. And I also reread Small Things Like These by Claire Keegan, just reaffirming my stance that this book rocks. Claire Keegan rules, and a great book to read on Christmas. I've also started The Poisonwood Bible by Barbara Kingsolver. This comes very highly recommended. So many people have mentioned this on previous videos of mine that I knew I had to give this a shot. And so far, I've only, gotten through the first like 50 pages or so, but I can tell this seems like something that is going to be right up my alley.